Mass confusion broke out today as Murray was seen working out. His last workout was some 3 months ago, and his workout today left many quite confused.
All right. So here we go. Here we go.
Murray went on to claim that the World Health Organization and the CDC declared him to be a physical specimen.
But I want you to know I am a physical specimen.
A claim the World Health Organization and CDC have denied.
That's right there. That's about, I would say that's about 10. Yeah. 10 kilos right there.
Murray seemed to be confused as to the weight of the dumbbells and appeared to be rather impressed with the 10-pound dumbbell. The real news seems to have been that Murray worked out and somehow managed not to hurt himself or to break anything. When asked for final comments, Murray had this to say.
Well, that should hold me over for another, I'd say that should hold me over for another couple weeks. Yeah.
Yes!
This is Channel 9 News. The best bizarre breaking news.
You're traveling to another dimension. You're traveling to another dimension.
If you are a manager, a leader, or maybe a supervisor, any type of team leader in any capacity, I highly recommend leadership by participation. Leadership by participation. So what is leadership by participation? Intuitively, you got a gut feeling. You probably have an idea of what this is all about, but maybe never heard it referred to as leadership by participation. So let me illustrate. Have you ever observed how sometimes team members get really confused when the leader or manager just out of the blue, pitches in, rolls up their sleeves, gets their hands dirty, and participates in the hard work? I know I've been confused many times when I worked on a team, and out of the norm, the manager comes in and starts working. This leadership by participation should be the norm, but too many leaders, unfortunately, lead in absentia, even if they are physically present. Because see, when the work gets hard and the going gets tough, the hard work needs to get done, team members are more likely to hear the voice of the leader rather than hear their voice and see their action. Active participation is by far the most powerful paradigm for building committed, conscientious team members. Now, this is not the same as the theory of participative leadership, which is also a very strong paradigm for leadership. See, participative leadership is where the leader shares leadership authority, autonomy, and accountability with team members as a way of building buy-in. All right, you share leadership to some degree so people feel involved and vested. Powerful leadership strategy. But leadership by participation is different. This is where the leader makes it a habit, makes it a norm to get down and get dirty with the team, especially when challenges arise. In my video, I started out by saying, I know you all must be confused because you've never seen me do any physical work or physical exercise, something like that. And confused is exactly how many team members feel when on that rare occasion they see the manager or team leader actually get involved with doing the hard work. Team members get confused because the leader's messaging is confusing. See, on the one hand, the leader is saying, look at me. Just like I proclaimed in the video. Remember I said I'm a great physical specimen? So on the one hand, the leader is saying, I'm a great leader. I'm an empathetic leader. I have an open door policy. Other people are giving the leader accolades. Remember in my video, I said that Murray is a great specimen according to the World Health Organization and the CDC. Now, of course, they never did say that, truth be told. But that's the messaging, that's the conflict in messaging. The leader is saying he's a good leader, she or she's been a good leader. Other people are giving them accolades. But the team members are mumbling under their collective breaths. I don't know about that. I just don't know about that. I never see him when the stuff hits the fan around here. Or you might hear them mumbling under their collective breaths. How great can they be when the going gets tough and the team needs an extra hand? She is nowhere to be found. So the messaging is confusing and the team is confused. When your team members are confused about your level of commitment to participating in the hard work, when they're not sure about your level of commitment to leading by participation, almost invariably, their level of commitment to the task is also seriously compromised. You know, I've coached hundreds of leaders who complain about their team members' lack of commitment. And then when I look under the hood of the team dynamics and talk with the team, almost invariably there is a collective sentiment among team members that they would really like to see more leadership by participation from their manager or leader before the team member invests more of their commitment to the task. But the question is, as a leader, how do you gauge your leadership participation? I call it your leadership participation IQ. Here's the thing, most leaders who do not effectively lead by participation don't usually do so intentionally. They don't make an intentional decision to say, I am not going to lead by participation. Right? More often than not, what happens is that leaders who fail to use this powerful tool of leadership by participation simply don't know how to measure, manage, and maximize their leadership by participation. Measure, manage, and maximize their leadership by participation. In a follow-up in this series, I'll talk at length about how you measure, manage, and maximize your leadership by participation. In the meantime, feel free to give me a call or contact me in the contact form on this webpage to do a virtual training for you and your leaders and your managers on how to lead by participation. And especially in this post-COVID or COVID and post-COVID era, where more leadership would have to be done in the virtual world. In this environment, leading by participation will be exponentially more essential for leaders and managers. In another follow-up about leadership lessons from my workout, I mean, if you could call it a workout, we will talk about don't break nothing. And how does that relate to leading by participation? You remember I said a couple times in my video, actually I didn't say it, but in a couple times in the video you saw on the screen, I hope the brother doesn't break anything, something to that effect. Well, that's a leadership lesson, and we'll talk about that, don't break nothing and leading by participation, in a follow-up video. Give me your contact information below. Let's set up a time about doing a virtual training for your team on leadership by participation. In the meantime, don't break nothing. There has been so much written about how to deal with difficult people. The literature is full of experts and gurus giving their opinions, giving their well researched positions on how to deal with difficult people. And dealing with difficult people is indeed a difficult proposition. If you have encountered a difficult person, you have come away with bruises and battle scars from dealing with that difficult person. Fact of the matter is, you may have inflicted a few bruises and battle scars of your own on someone who thinks that you are a difficult person. And so the literature is full, replete with positions and research and opinions on how to deal with the difficult people. So I've come to add my 2 cents worth to the dialogue and to the discussion. But I come from a different perspective. I come from the perspective that there are no difficult people, only difficult disagreements. There are no difficult people, only difficult disagreements. Well, let me start with a personal story. A few years ago, I took an interim position as chief financial officer with a medical clinic. As part of our services offered through my accounting financial services firm, I'm the managing director of a certified public accounting firm. We provide interim CFO services for clients, and this gives them hands-on, in-place services to help them with their strategic financial planning, management, dealing with their accounting services, managing their financial operations, training their financial staff, things like that. And so in this engagement, I work closely on a daily basis with the other C-level execs, like the chief medical officer, chief information officer, and of course the CEO. I keep in mind that the relationship between a CEO and a CFO is one of the most impactful and important relationships in an organization, in any organization. In addition to working with the C-levels, of course, I worked with the staff, training, supervising in the accounting, the payables, the revenue cycle, the payroll department. So I had a lot of personal interaction with the staff. All in all, I had a great time working with the staff. Great productive working relationships with all the staff, from C-level execs down to the department staff. Great working relationship with everyone except one. There's always one. There's always that one person that rubs you the wrong way, gets under your last nerve. In this scenario, there was that one person. Now, it's the same with you, right? I mean, in your workplace, you've got that one person. I'm sure, and for some of you, it may be 2, 3, 4, 5 people that you have that challenge with in forging and sustaining a productive working relationship. Hopefully, it's not too many. And it doesn't have to be in a work situation. There's always that one, whether it's in a social group or a sports team, even in a church, with all the holy, righteous people sprinkled in those blood-bought saints of God. Sprinkled among those are some knuckleheads that just pull your string, push your button, and tug at your very last nerve. Sometimes even in your family, in families, right? Yeah, I mean, there's that one cousin, that one uncle that you just never invite to Thanksgiving dinners. Come on now, you got one like that in your family. So there's always that one or two people that are difficult to work with, difficult to relate to, difficult to interact with. And so here at this medical clinic, I found myself face to face with a difficult person. It wasn't one of those knock him out, drag him out fights type of situation, but there was just this friction in connecting and relating and moving towards common objectives. that made that situation very difficult. Truth is, though, he probably thought I was just as difficult to work with as I thought he was difficult to work with. And that's one of the most important dynamics of working with difficult people. I call it the speck in the eye syndrome, right? We all suffer from it. And the speck in the eye syndrome, we'll expand on that later as we talk about how to deal with difficult people. Now, even though you've heard me say that there really are no difficult people, only difficult disagreements, throughout our discussion, I'm probably going to use the term difficult people, difficult person, so that the conversation could flow, because that's the point of reference that we're dealing with. Difficult people are really not difficult people, they are really just difficult disagreements. I've consulted with, I've coached, I've advised hundreds of organizations and thousands of people on how to deal with difficult people, how to build strong teams, overcoming internal conflicts. Most of my work on difficult people is, of course, within the organizational setting. So all of these real life experiences I have combined with academic scientific principles to give you some templates on how to deal with difficult people. I've put many of these in my book and online course, which is entitled How to Disagree and Still Get Things Done. So I'm going to share with you some of the more powerful, practical, actionable paradigms, some strategies and resources that I have developed over the last 30 years, that I have gleaned from experts and gurus on the topic. And I'm going to share those with you in this course. What if you had some strategies? What if you had some paradigms that could allow you to, in the face of difficult people and difficult disagreements, move to performance, move to a level of performance? I actually call it from disagreement to deployment, right? Where you effectively deploy in an efficient manner, so much so that you are ahead of schedule, that you are above par in your performance, even if there are difficult people, difficult disagreements, and difficult situations in the mix. What if you had, say, 5 or 6 strategies to help you deal with difficult people, but still get things done? Not only get things done, but get things done and get paid. Because ultimately, disagreements and difficult people, if not handled correctly, could impair your performance, right? It could, with your impaired performance, your productivity declines. And if you're not performing well and not producing at a high level, it is going to impact how you get paid. So, what if you had 5, maybe 6 strategies? Well, you're in luck. I've got 5, 6 strategies that I want to share with you in this class on how to deal with difficult people. Okay, so the first one is there are no difficult people, only difficult disagreements. So I guess you're asking me right now, well, I thought this was a class on how to deal with difficult people. If you're telling me there are no difficult people, then why am I taking this class? Okay, hang in there. We'll get to that, all right? We'll get to that. There are no difficult people, only difficult disagreements. That's the first paradigm. The second one is called the perception paradigm shift. What perception are we trying to shift? Whose perception of what are we trying to shift? Perception paradigm shift, dealing with difficult people. Number 3, threat assessment. It's like red light, threat assessment. Every time there's a difficult person encounter, right? Every difficult person encounter, there is a threat. Someone feels threatened by something someone said or did, and it triggers a difficult person situation, right? How do you assess the threat? How do you mitigate the threat in a difficult person encounter? Number 4, common ground. Common ground is another word for saying compromise, right? Of finding that common ground. There is there's an acronym that we use and a proprietary tool that I'm going to share with you on how to find common ground. What people often mistake for common ground is, well, when they say, well, we need to be on the same page. You've heard that, right? We need to, if we could only be on the same page, I think we could get this thing done. You've heard that. But invariably, what they were referring to as the same page is my page. So let's be on the same page as long as it is my page, as long as it's a page from my book. That's not common ground. We'll talk about how you really find common ground in dealing with difficult people. Number five, personal versus positional. Personal versus positional. What's the difference? What's the good balancing point for personal versus positional? Number six, the last one is give and take. People always talk about give and take, a cliche that means compromise. If we could just give and take, if both parties were to give and take, compromise, they would get things done. Well, here's the thing. Taking, that's the easy part. Taking comes naturally, instinctively to all of us. We know how to take. We are some takers. There's this movie called Takers. Pretty good movie. You know, hey, as movies go. But we all know how to take. We're takers. From the moment we were born taking, right? Now that giving part, hey, watch it now. We need some help learning how to give and take. So there you go. 6 paradigms and strategies that would help you deal with difficult people. All right, let's get rolling on paradigm number 1. There are no difficult people, only difficult disagreements. People are like golf balls. You do your best to get them into the hole and you miss. But do you think it has anything to do with the golf ball? My ability to get this ball into that hole in one out here on the Murray Golf Course, do you think it has anything to do with the fact that this is a difficult ball? Or maybe my stroke, maybe my stroke is not right. What do you think? Difficult ball, bad stroke. Let's find out. Hole in one. Hole in one. What does that tell you? Well, I don't know what it tells you other than the fact that I'm a darn good golfer. Yeah. Tiger Woods, where you at? My point is this. Sometimes in life, when we negotiate and interact with others, we tend to blame the ball, i.e. the person, as being difficult, when in fact it just might be our stroke. There are so many variables that come into play between getting the ball from contact to the hole that it's almost unreasonable to blame it all on the ball. In fact, the ball has probably the least culpability in this entire equation of getting the ball from point of contact to the hole. There are no difficult people, only difficult interactions, i.e. difficult disagreements with people. How are you contacting? How's your point of contact? How's your stroke as you interact with people navigating through difficult disagreements? A good golfer doesn't spend a bunch of time focusing on the ball just before he gets ready to putt. What does he do? He spends most of his time focusing on the course between the ball and the hole, right? He looks at the variables, the contour and the curves of the course. Should he putt to the left? Should he putt to the right? That's what his focus is on, not the ball. That's at the very last minute he focuses on the ball, and for a fraction of a second he focuses on the ball. Most of his preparation time is spent looking at the contour and curvature of the course between the ball and the hole. Now, I'm no great golfer, and I'm not calling anybody out for a shootout at the course. Let's get that straight. But I want to link that analogy to dealing with people, what we call difficult people. I want to link that analogy to dealing with what we label as difficult people. The whole represents the task, the objective, whatever it is that you need to work with this person on to accomplish. That's the whole. The ball is the person. Between the person and the ball, there is just a ton of variables, contours and curvatures that exist between the ball, that would be the person, and the hole, that would be the objective. But here's what we do. Unlike a great golfer who spends most of his time focusing on the curvature of the land and the course between ball and hole, looking at the variables, we spend most of our time looking at the what? The ball. Ball is so difficult. Can't work with this ball. I wish this ball was more, whatever. Focus on the ball. Ignoring the variables that exist between the ball and the hole. And then we wonder, why can't we work with this person? One of the most critical variables that exist between person and objective is perception. Perception. I call it the perception paradigm.